Hey guys, this is Casey, and I wanted to jump on here for a few minutes just to do. I'm going to try not to do a deep dive. I'm going to try to hit the surface and get your balls rolling. Okay, so I've had a lot of people reach out to me and question me and inquire about what I'm doing. So, first of all, let's go back probably 7 or 8 years ago. As most of you know, well, as some of you know, I wouldn't call myself a health freak, but I try to do the best I can with the information I have. And I try to dig deep and ask the question of why. Why is this happening? Why does it end up doing XYZ? Why? I want to know why. Why am I at the point that I'm at? So, just to give a brief overview, I started out being gestational diabetic when I was 17. Every pregnancy was a diabetic pregnancy, and the the more I had, the less diabetic I became because of what I've learned. And I will say that over the last 7 or 8 years, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of research. And it shouldn't be this hard. Food and health should not be this hard. It should not be this complicated, but it is. It's to the point that our food system is so jacked up that you actually have to research different things. So I had fought off becoming diabetic because they said once you're gestational diabetic, it's a matter of time. Well, I fought it off for 20 years. And then I finally got the diagnosis of my A1C being high enough to call me a diabetic. I was not going to live with that, and I was going to try and do what I could to do it on my own. So I changed this, I changed that. I swapped flour because today's flour, today's wheat, regular white flour, it's genetically modified. It's not the original flour, not the original wheat. You have to look into ancient grains if that is something that you want to learn more about. I started that journey when I was having migraines. And I say migraines. It was headaches. It wasn't migraines. I was on the verge of medication for them, and I said there's no reason why my head should be hurting, because I have learned through the years that if your body is hurting, it's telling you something. Something is wrong, it's telling you something. So, I was trying to fix it. I drank more water, like they said. My blood pressure was fine at the time. I didn't know exactly what it was. And so I attributed it to white flour. So I changed white flour to einkorn. And it was great. Headaches went away. And then, I actually got that backwards. First, it was hormones. I was taking low estrogen birth control, and estrogen was giving me migraines. I quit birth control and went another route, and then my migraines come back. And so then I swapped my flour, and my migraines quit. And they have stayed gone since then. But then it evolved into my blood pressure was starting to creep up. And so I was drinking water. I changed my salt. And yes, everybody needs salt, but you got to have the right kind of salt. Table salt will kill you. Table salt will put you on every medication there is under the sun. It will destroy your organs. Get off of table salt if you are on table salt. You need to go to, there's several options. You need to go to pink salt, Celtic salt, sea salt. My favorite is Redmond's real salt. because it's full of minerals, and our body does need the minerals that we can only get out of real salt. It is mined in Utah. It's right here in the United States. So we started out with pink Himalayan salt, resolved my blood pressure problem. That was probably 6 or 7 years ago. That was pretty early, 6 or 7 years ago. And so that resolved my blood pressure problem until probably the last 2 years. We swapped over to Redmond's real salt, and our food taste changed because it's a food enhancer. When you use table salt, you get salty flavor. When you use real salt, it brings out the food's flavor, and you don't need all that salty taste. So we use Redmond's real salt. I can with it. I cook with it. You can make a Gatorade electrolyte drink with it. It's great. It's absolutely great. So up until this point, everything was okay. And then I guess 3 years ago, my A1C crept up to 6.6, I believe, 6.4. It was right at borderline, where some doctors do something about it, some doctors don't. Well, the cardiologist I was seeing, because of all my stress and headaches and all that, he didn't want to do anything about it. So that was actually the doctor I worked for at the time. I actually quit working for him and got offered another job. And so I went back to my PCP, got a copy of my labs, took them to my PCP, and he was like, nope, you have fought it off now for 20 years. You are now diabetic. And I'm like, ugh, oh Lord. Okay. So now I got to fix this problem. So I started with, I've done the keto. I did carnivore. I did different diets. And I did that for about 6 months. I was trying to see what really was the cause of it. So I did my follow-up with him, and I asked him, I was like, look, I've changed X, Y, Z, P, Q, R, S, I've done all of it. I've changed everything I know to change because I'm a nurse. You think you know everything about diabetes. And he said, well, you're diabetic because your pancreas dumps the sugar at night. Like, I wore a monitor and monitored my sugars, and they were not bad. But I was diabetic because of all the sugar my pancreas was dumping at night. He said there's no way to fix that. And I was like, okay, so maybe I do a pancreas detox. So I started doing dandelion root tea to clean out my liver, clean out my kidneys, clean out my pancreas, just kind of clean everything out and see if that helped. Well, it did not help. So about 6 months after that is when I started Mounjaro because I gave up. I tried everything that I knew. There was nothing that was sustainable. There was nothing that was working. Everything was still the same. Even though my sugars were okay during the day, it was the nighttime problem, and I didn't know how to fix it. So then come Mounjaro. So I started taking Mounjaro. I took it for 2.5 years. I started August of 22, and I was just fed up. I was tired. I was tired of trying. And so I got on Mounjaro August of 22, and I did fine until April of 24. April of 24, I started having severe pain, like in my core, just in my core. It felt like somebody had punched me in the ribs repetitively. I was having diarrhea. I was throwing up. I was so weak. I could not hold myself up. I literally was in that recliner right there for 3 days. And my work was like, you're fixing to have to fill out FMLA papers. And I was like, are you serious? Anything over 3 days, we have to fill out papers. And I was like, okay, I will try to hold myself up and come to work. So anyways, long story short about that, I went to the ER. They said it was my gallbladder, but they didn't have a general surgeon there. So they sent me to another general surgeon like the next day. Well, no, they weren't available for like 3 weeks. Stephen called around, found me one that next afternoon. We went and talked to him. He said, it's not my gallbladder. He said, yeah, everybody's gallbladder is inflamed. No, sorry. Everybody's gallbladder has stones. But if it's not inflamed and not infected, and he said there's no signs on this other than on the scan, because I had an abdominal CT scan in the ER, and he said there's absolutely no reason for you to come here and me take your gallbladder out because your gallbladder is healthy. Yes, it's full of stones, but yes, so is everybody else's. He said it is just kind of breaking off and resolving itself, and occasionally there's a piece of a stone that will block that duct, and that's what's causing your problem. But you're also taking the shot, and that causes pancreatitis. And he said, you're developing pancreatitis, so you don't need your gallbladder out. And everybody on the shot usually has to go get the gallbladder out. But he said, there is an influx of this problem that everybody wants to send people, all the doctors want to send people to have the gallbladder taken out. He said, but the problems you're having are not gallbladder related. The problems you're having don't show up until after people have gotten their gallbladder out, like the diarrhea and the throwing up and all that. That's not until after you have your gallbladder taken out. And he said, you're having it prior. You still have it. He said, it's not that. It's the shot doing it. So I got off of it for 3 weeks. He said, give it 3 weeks. If you still have the problem, come back and see me. I said, okay. Got off of it 3 weeks. I did fine. So then I was like, okay, now what? So he said it was okay for me to back down to a lesser dose and get back on it. I said, okay. He said, just try it and see how it goes. So I got back on it, and I did great. I did fine. No problems. After about 4 months, I upped my dose to the next milligram up, and I did fine. I did that for about 6 more months, and that's going to roll us into January and February of this year. So I got up to the third from the highest dose, and it started making me sick, throwing up for 3 days. I mean, it's a weekly shot. You can't just stop taking it. So for the first 3 days after I would take the shot, I would literally throw up for 3 days. I couldn't eat anything. And I was like, this is nuts. I took 3 shots. Happened every time. I said, it's got to be the shot. So I've got to quit. So I backed down a dose. I still had some left, so I backed down a dose. And I was going to see if it was the strength of the medication that was causing it. Well, it ends up that I just can't take it anymore. That lower dose even started doing it. So, and the pain come back that I had previously. So I was like, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done. I can't take the shot anymore. I'm tired of being sick, of trying not to be sick. I'm trying to take this medication to help me from being physically sick, and it's physically making me sick. So I was like, this is stupid. So I got off of it, and I take that back. I went down that dose and was taking it every other week because I was thinking it was too strong. But I in my mind, I needed that little bit of help. And so I backed back down, took it every other week. It was still making me sick, and so I got off of it. So I made up my mind I was going to wait a month. I was just going to get off of it, wait a month, go back to the doctor, get my labs rechecked, and get kind of this baseline to see how I was actually doing. Being an A1C is an average over 3 months. So I was 1 month, January, or December. Part of December, I was on it full time. January, I was on it full time. February, I was on it part time. And then, February, I had gotten off of it. So December full time, January half time, February, I gotten off of it. That's what it is. And so I was like, well, by the time I check it at the beginning of March, I would have about a 75% idea of kind of what my baseline would be as to where I'm starting. So I'd been off of it for a month, went in, see my doctor, got my A1C checked, and it come back 6.4. And it had been 5.3 for the previous 2 years being on the shot. So it was then 6.4. And I was like, that is almost higher, because if I had not been on the shot those previous months, it would have been higher. So I was like, well, 6.4, that's bad for me. Only taking the shot about half the time that I needed to. So even my A1C would have been higher than that. And that was scary. That was scary to me. I was like, I'm not doing any good at this. Absolutely no good. And so I talked to my doctor, and she was like, well, your LDL's a little high. And I was having severe shoulder pain. Like, I couldn't even pick up my arm. Like, it was unbearable. I had no strength in this arm. This shoulder was like, it was done. And so while we were talking about it, she said, well, you got diabetes, so that's going to cause you inflammation. Your inflammation's in your shoulder. So you've got to take something for your diabetes in order for the inflammation to go down in your shoulder. That made about 2 cents worth of sense to me. And I was like, okay, so if I have diabetes and it's causing me inflammation, if that's going to turn into lupus, that's going to turn into RA, it's going to evolve into all this mess I don't want. And so I told her, I said, well, if my LDL's high, my cholesterol's high because I'm diabetic. So if my cholesterol's high, how do I lower it? Because it was an LDL, it's supposed to be low. She said, well, it's never going to be low because you're diabetic. And I was like, you tell me there's nothing that I can do to make my lab less just because I'm labeled diabetic. And she said, no, that's just the way it's going to be. And I said, so what can I do? I mean, dietarily, what can I do to fix this? She said, nothing. She said, honestly, every time you come in here, you tell me you changed something, or you've done this, or you've done that. And frankly, I don't see that there's anything else that you can change if you've actually done everything you said. And she was getting mad at me for questioning help. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I no longer talked to her. So from then on, I had it in my mind that I'm going to fix my diabetes, get my sugar down. I'm going to fix my shoulder. My shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. I am going to monitor, and I asked for a monitor that day. She gave it to me. I said, well, since I can't take anything, I need a monitor. So I got a monitor, and I said, I need to see what my pancreas does at night as compared to what I do during the day. Because my way of thinking is, if I don't give it the sugar during the day, there's nothing to dump at night. So then I was like, okay, so if I don't give my body sugar, then my sugar won't be high, I won't be diabetic, my inflammation will go away, my cholesterol will get better. So what's the problem? It's like, okay. But in order for it to work, I needed to, first of all, wear the monitor for a week and do my normal eating habits to see where I'm screwing up. It was eye-opening because I thought I was doing pretty good. And that's the way a lot of you are. A lot of you think, I'm doing the best I can. The best you can is not enough. You have to do the best. You have to be strict and do the best. So, here's what I decided. All sugar had to go, of course. But not just white sugar. All sugar that was actually sugar. To me, that is white sugar, powdered sugar, brown sugar, fruit, natural sugars, and anything that's white or yellow that turns into sugar. That being flour, sweet potatoes, potato chips, corn, sweet corn, any kind of corn, cauliflower, anything white or yellow, or that was a fruit. Okay, no fruit at this point. So, for me, that was a total detox of everything that was causing my sugar problems. Immediately, my sugars changed when I wiped all that out. And then I pinpointed small problems. I had to pinpoint I cannot have sugar either. Honey. I cannot have honey. I cannot have any kind of sugar replacements, as in like the honey or maple syrup, anything natural like that. I can't do that. This was at that point, okay? So I'm like, okay. So I made little changes that first week. And then I noticed by day 3, my shoulder no longer hurts. And it has not hurt since. So, that's the biggest thing, is flour and sugar causes inflammation. It causes diabetes. It causes AI problems. I mean, it causes so many things. And what I did was a total detox, and I did it for a month. I lost 9 pounds. My skin cleared up. My blood pressure's fine. My brain fog is going away. That was very scary for me. Like, I was like borderline early dementia problems. I could not think at all. I did try mushroom coffee. It actually gave me dyslexia. That was pretty scary. So I got off of it, and I'm at the end. See, I drank it for 3 weeks, and I'm at the end of it being flushed out of my system because my dyslexia is going away. So not everything is healthy for you. Anyway, there's so much that it has fixed. So by me sharing this with you, you've got to be willing to do a total reset. It's not, how do I put this? It's not easy. You've got to be dedicated. Excuse me. But in my shoes, it was either do it or get on medication and never fix yourself. You got to make that decision whether you're going to do it and be free from medical diagnoses, be free from medication, be full of the lifestyle that you want, but it does come at a cost. You can't just eat whatever you want. I do in different forms. I eat cinnamon rolls, but it's my way. I eat pizza. It's my way. I eat burgers, usually with a lettuce wrap. I eat tortilla chips, but they are a different form of tortilla chips. Like, you can make almond flour tortillas, cut them up, make them chips. You can get almond flour tortillas. You can do stuff like that. Now, just be careful with all the keto and sugar-free things out there, because there's a lot of hidden wheat. There's a lot of hidden citric acid. There's a lot of hidden sugars in other forms, like sucralose and maltodextrin, and it's so much out there. It's actually better if you buy these ingredients and use them at home instead of buying the pre-made stuff. I've got some, what are they called? They're called nut thins. They're like wheat thins, but they're made with almonds. They raise my sugar. There's something in them, I don't remember right off the top of my head, but there's something in them that does raise my sugar. There's another brand called Simply Meals that is exactly what I would use to make my own. There's no chemicals, there's no additives, there's no nothing. It is strictly real ingredients. It's called Simply Meals. Simple Meals, M-I-L-L-S. Because they mill their own flour. And so there's little things like that you have to learn. You can't go to convenience ready with a diet like this because it's full of chemicals. And that's what you've got to get away with. Another thing is you've got to increase your fats. Cholesterol does not mean that you're eating too much fat. It means you're eating too much of the wrong fat. So you need to swap out, get rid of everything except for avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, and you can even have real butter, real lard, real tallow. Um, for me, stay away from the meat varieties right now. I am solely going plant focused on my oil. So I use avocado oil and coconut oil. Um, the sugar that I use, that I said I make cookies, I make cakes, I make my coffee sweeteners, I make everything that I use that I want sweet, I make myself. And I use Pyure, Pyure, and monk fruit for baking. And neither one of those have that nasty aftertaste that everybody talks about. But, at the point of no return, where you're fed up and you're wanting to just do what you need to do, you will get over the taste. Or don't eat it. Plain and simple. Get over the taste or don't eat it. Or you can keep trying different things and find something you like. So, this video is getting a little longer than I wanted it to be. But I wanted to, just to do a little talk about what I'm doing. In the coming videos, there's one I'm fixing to release, and then in the upcoming videos, I will share some of these recipes that I'm doing. I'm keeping them in a folder for my own personal cookbook. I might release it one day. Who knows? But I have recipes that I'm keeping. And I also talk about in some of those videos of if you have kids or if you have a spouse or partner that is not eating the same way that you are, but you don't want to have to fix 2 separate meals. There's ways around that, and I share that because Logan and Emma don't always eat what me and Steven are eating. But I either have them extras of a different meal frozen so they can just go get it and eat what they want. They choose what they want to eat if they don't want what I fixed. Or I keep certain things separate. Like if I do a chicken Alfredo, I either make almond flour noodles for me and Steven, or we might have cauliflower rice, or we might not do anything with it. We might just have chicken broccoli Alfredo sauce. And then on the side, I will have regular noodles for the kids. If they want to take that and put it on the noodles and mix it up, they can have that. I fix pizza, and everybody eats that. I fix like teriyaki chicken, and I do regular white rice for the kids, and then I do cauliflower rice occasionally for me and Steven, or we'll put it on or with some kind of vegetable. Main thing is upping your vegetables. Be careful of beans and legumes and the tomatoes and peppers. Be careful of that because all of those do cause inflammation. So I would stay away from those in the beginning. But anyways, this video is getting a little long, so I don't want to bore you. If you have any questions, reach out. And not every diet is going to be the same way for everybody. I just want to let you know the way I'm doing it, my thoughts, my processes. And there are a lot of documentaries that I would suggest you go watch, or not if you don't want to be grossed out, because some of them can get pretty down and dirty about our food system, and that has really sparked me. I watched them last year, and it really sparked me to start changing my diet. But changing my diet at that point was not enough. So I had to get drastic. I had to get very strict. And if we eat out, I'm very conscious of what I choose. If it's somewhere that I can take my own food, like we just had Easter, we had a fish fry, so I took my own cheddar garlic biscuits that everybody else loved too. I took my own desserts. I made my own slaw. So I do things like that so I can go and still enjoy life, but not the expense of my health. When we do events and shows, me and Steven plan and take our own foods, so we don't eat from the food trucks. So it's little changes like that that you've got to be really prepared for. And if you're one of these people that don't know how to cook, now would be a good time. Because, or you're just going to stick with meat and veggies kind of thing. Make up a lot of chicken, make up a lot of vegetables, mix and match your sauces and all that. But I even make my sauces at home because I can't trust what's in them at the store. I've got to be able to control if they have, high fructose corn syrup and all that stuff in it. I'd rather make it at home with my own stevia sweeteners. And stevia is a plant, and I actually do grow stevia, and I do have some freeze dried. I just have not had time to kind of research on how to use it, because I don't want green flaky leaves all in my stuff. So I've got to figure out and learn how to use it. So anyways, I hope this helps at least one person. Like I said, if you have any questions, comment down below. You can message me if you would like. If you're on Facebook, you can private message me. If you have my number, you can text me, or you can comment on YouTube here down below. So I'm going to post this all across the platforms. And yeah, just let me know if y'all have any questions or any thoughts on things that maybe work for you that might help someone else. I might do a deeper dive into talking about this stuff. I'm just trying to hit the high points right now, but not overload you with too much information, because like I said, I've been researching this for at least the last 7 or 8 years. So all of this information that has finally kind of come together at this meeting point, I have been researching for a very long time. And it kind of just took bits and pieces here, there, and yonder to finally put the puzzle together that's going to work for us and be sustainable, because things that are not sustainable will not work. You've got to be committed. You've got to love what you're doing. You've got to let it consume your life. You've got to love it with all of your being. I love cooking. I love trying all these new desserts and cookies and recipes and all of this stuff. Like, I made that. Be proud of your food. Be proud of yourself. And just do it. You can do it. You've just got to set your mind to it. So we'll see you next time, guys. And thanks for listening. Bye.